Everybody's voting for the friendly voice of radio, the people's choice. Music, weather, sports, and news, it's radio. The people choose. Everybody's swinging to the swinging voice of radio, the people's choice. Big fry, small fry, dawn to dawn, it's radio that turns them on.
The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, that is me most of the time. Boy, in the news today on climate changes, I'll tell you, it's not great news. You know, Antarctica is just going away. Greenland is going away. All the ice. You know, Alaska hitting temperatures of 97 degrees. Antarctica in certain areas hitting temperatures again around 97 degrees. Then we go to the Amazon. The rainforest is up in flames, worse than it ever has been. The fire just keeps getting bigger, and it's spreading really fast. I'm just wondering where we're going to be at 50 years down the road. Are we going to have enough food to supply our population? Are we going to, you remember back in the movies, going with Charles Heston, an old movie called Soylent Green, where they, you know, people would go to pass on when they got a certain age. They didn't realize that their bodies would be, well, converted into protein to feed the population. Is that maybe what's going to happen in 50 years when we're not able to grow food? I don't know. Anyway, tonight we got a great guest on. We got Tom Whitmore coming back on our show. He'll be on right after this.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
Well, that thunder kind of fit in today here. Down at the harbor, down at the compound, we had temperatures that reached, 64 to 66 degrees. A lot of rain this morning. I don't know. This summer is, they say it's the hottest ever recorded in history on our planet. But I'll tell you one thing. This summer here in Washington State, at least in the harbor area, I can say it's not been the nicest summer. Anyway, we're going to be talking about UFOs, aliens, and whatever we can come up with Tom Whitmore. Hi, Tom. How you doing, my friend? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Just fine, Gary. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well,
I'm really excited about it.
Well, I am too. Anything new and exciting happened since the last time you've been on?
Well, personally, in my personal life, I'm making a big change. My daughter has grown, and my wife, unfortunately, passed away a couple of years ago. So I've sold my home, and I've sold most of all of my possessions, and I'm getting ready to move to Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm renting an apartment there that's only 5 to 10 minutes away from the National Archives. And I intend to spend my time, my days, researching documents at the National Archives. So that's the really new and exciting thing in my own life.
Oh, yeah. What type of documents are you going to be going through?
Well, my area of specialty is the history of the MJ-12 affair. And as many people are aware, the original MJ-12 documents mention 12 individuals who were high-level scientists and military and government people that were allegedly involved in the oversight of the UFO problem. And the documents, of course, are not, they've not been proven to be authentic, and they are questionable in origin. But one of the things I want to do is, a lot of more documents had been received in the 90s from a gentleman named Timothy Cooper, and all of these documents are on a website called majesticdocuments.com by Robert and Ryan Wood put that website together. And what I want to do is, for example, General Twining was on the list of the MJ-12 members of the original MJ-12 group. So I can take documents and reports from the Majestic Documents.com website, and then pull documents of the National Archives from, for example, General Twining's file, memos and reports and letters and so on and so forth. And I'm going to compare them. I'm going to compare the language and the punctuation and the spelling, et cetera, and see if there are any similarities or differences with these questionable documents that have been received over the years.
Can you explain to the listeners what the MJ-12 was all about?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. In terms of the history of the MJ-12 affair, the MJ-12 documents that were received by William Moore and Jamie Chandray in 1983, 1984, they were received in the context of some involvement by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations with the UFO community. And in saying that, what I mean is a person in particular who is the most high profile in all of this, Sergeant Richard Doty, was involved in contact with William Moore, and he had recruited William Moore to be an informant, and William Moore had claimed that several other people in the UFO community had been recruited as informants, and the receipt of the MJ-12 documents by William Moore and Jamie Chandray were within that context. Now, that's the context of the affair itself, which began in the early 80s when William Moore had come out with his book, The Roswell Incident, with Charles Berlitz, and it was during that book tour that he was recruited by Richard Doty. So that's the context of the MJ-12 affair. Now, the legend of MJ-12 begins right after the alleged Roswell craft that we believe is probably some kind of an alien craft and bodies. And the MJ-12 group was a very high-level group, top-level scientists such as Vannevar Bush, who had been the head of the Research and Development Board in the government, and top generals like General Vandenberg, General Twining, and top government people such as Gordon Gray. And this group of 12 individuals were selected. They were picked and authorized by President Truman to undergo this project of studying the craft and the bodies and studying the UFO problem. Now, that's legend, because I don't have proof that the MJ-12 group ever existed. I mean, there's a possibility that it did, and there's a possibility that it existed, and it's morphed over the years, even up to the present time.
Interesting. Now, your hope to go through the archives and try to gather as much information about it as you can, I take it?
Yes, sir. And that's only one part of my whole effort, because there are a lot of people that I want to interview. I want to talk to people that have been involved in the MJ-12 affair over the years. So, but my base of operations is going to be in the Washington, D.C. area, actually in Silver Spring, Maryland, and which is near the National Archives. But I will also be expanding out into doing more documentary research and interviewing people that have been involved in the affair over the years.
Well, through the years, I've read so many documents on, with supposedly from the MJ-12. And the thing is, how do you tell if they're, I got a funny feeling majority of them that you see on Facebook at surface now and then is probably faked. What's your feeling?
Well, some of them are. Some some of them are probably hoaxes. It's possible that there are a couple in there that are legitimate. In fact, there was a quote, someone quoted a few days ago that a so-called inside source said the trick is to figure out which of the documents are genuine. But it's a fascinating problem to me because there's the possibility that someone or some party keeps introducing these documents into the UFO community for unknown reasons. Now, there are different theories as to why that might be happening, but from my reckoning, the MJ-12 affair began in the early 80s, and it's actually gone up almost to the present day because the latest document to come out that I refer to as the ultra top secret document came out in, I believe, in the year 2017, and it appeared on the internet. So I'm actually expanding the scope of the MJ-12 affair to go back before the early 80s because there were certain things going on particularly in the 1970s and even the 60s that I think preceded and were precursors to the MJ-12 affair as we know it.
Now, do you think, Tom, that some of this information that's supposed to be from, MJ-12 that's circulating, do you think it's being put out by the government to actually cause more confusion out there? Because I know that for every little bit of information that is coming out, either from the government or reliable sources, it seems like at the same time there's either disinformation or something to come back and discredit what the information is coming out. And I think that's still the tactic to keep people confused. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a distinct possibility. And there are different theories as to why this might be happening. The simplest theory is that they're simple hoaxes, okay? The problem with that, as I see it, and it's possible that any one document or set of documents could be a hoax, but the problem I see with that is this has been going on since the early 80s up to the present time, and it's hard for me to comprehend that all of that is a hoax. Now, does that mean that all of the information or some of the information is legitimate? Not necessarily, because it's possible that there is some pertinent and reliable information mixed in with a lot of information that is not reliable. And why would that happen? Well, one possibility is maybe there's been an effort to keep the UFO community in turmoil, to keep it in an uproar, to keep it confused so that we don't know what to believe. That's one possible explanation.